All right, so let's get started, fam, because the other day we were doing a show. We actually broke it live. It was right here. Ruth Bader Ginsburg has died. I think she was 87 or something, close to that. And so, of course, we've had a neoliberal meltdown. So right off the bat, Nancy Pelosi doesn't rule out impeachment over the Supreme Court nominee. In other words, Stephanopoulos asked her on ABC this week. It says, would you rule out impeachment to delay the whole process, use it as a tactic, kind of shelve it, so therefore that we have to wait to the election and see if Joe Biden would win, and then he gets to pick a Supreme Court nominee. But we know the whole thing that we went through the last year of Obama, with Merrick Garland, what Mitch McConnell did, he ran out the clock. But take a look. This is Nancy Pelosi, Stephanopoulos, asking her if she would rule out impeachment, if she would go as far as using impeachment to delay the process. Take a look.
Some have mentioned the possibility, if they try to push through a nominee in a lame duck session, that you and the House could move to impeach President Trump or Attorney General Barr as a way of stalling and preventing the Senate from acting on this nomination.
Well, we have our options. We have arrows in our quiver that I'm not about to discuss right now.
Arrows in our quiver? Is that what you said?
Happy birthday to my mother, by the way. We gave you a nice Nancy Pelosi clip,
I
Mom.
don't even understand what she said.
I don't know. I mean, I think she just wants to leave the image that everything is on the table possible for her to stop Donald Trump appointing a nominee.
Well, she already said that they're willing to impeach him.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But now talking about impeaching him on something else, I guess. I don't know what they would do. But they would use it as a way of stalling,
Right.
So, I mean, that's what they're trying to do. Now, the whole thing is like, if it was a Republican like Hillary Clinton, you know what I'm saying, that maybe got the seat and then...
You mean a Democrat?
An establishment Democrat. Well, I'm even a certain Republican might play by the rules that, okay, Mitch kind of delayed it. We are consistent with these laws. The whole Obama thing says when you make laws, you should be consistent. But Donald Trump ain't going to play that game. We knew as soon as this happened, fam, we knew Donald Trump was going to rush to a point to fill the seat and fill it quickly. A little tweet from Team Trump over here. You can hear them in North Carolina screaming, fill the seat.
So Article 2 of our Constitution says the president shall nominate justices of the Supreme Court. I don't think it can be any more clear, can it? I don't think so. I don't think so. What do you think, Tom? Tom Tillis? I don't think it can be any more clear. This can only happen in North Carolina.
Well, he goes on to say, we're going to fill it.
So North Carolina is a swing state.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to, I think it's going to be swinging right, you guys.
Oh, yeah.
So whether the green people vote for green or not, it's going to swing right.
Yeah. He knows how to work the crowd WWE style. He knows his audience. I'm telling you that much. This can only happen in North Carolina. It's like, who are you going to call? Here comes Bam Bam Bigelow on the stage with a steel chair. You know what I'm saying? That was a funny meme, too, when he got elected the day after. It was like Donald Trump at the inaugural speech. Holy cow, it's Bernie Sanders with a steel chair. And they show a picture of Bernie Sanders running down with a steel chair, because that's what it felt. That's what this feels like. This is politics nowadays. Yeah, I mean, it's like the WWE.
So
Donald Trump further goes on to say the GOP, we were put in a position of power of importance to make the decisions for the people who proudly elected us, the most important of which has been long considered to be the selection of a United States Supreme Court justice. We have this obligation without delay. So, fam, he is going to push to fill this seat. You know he is. The only thing else I had up over here was that tweet with what Obama had said pretty much about he's going to fill the seat too. He's going to try. He's just going to do his job. I believe it was the third one down, Johnny. I probably got the wrong one. But he says the Constitution says we have to nominate candidates for SCOTUS when there's a vacancy. So my job is to to do what it's supposed to do, and he's going to do his job. So. Yeah, just a little quick.
Well, the Constitution says that I nominate candidates for the Supreme Court when there's a vacancy, and that the Senate exercises its constitutional role in advising consent. I'm going to do my job. We are going to go through a process, as we have done in 2 previous Supreme Court vacancies, to identify an outstanding candidate that has impeccable legal credentials and would bring the kind of ability and compassion and objectivity.
So as you know, fam, the Republicans ran out the clock. They tried the Merrick Garlick thing, which was kind of like I'd say centrist, kind of like, middle of the road, not too progressive of a...
No, he was definitely not progressive
He didn't want to
at
get rid
all.
of Citizens United at all. So,
No.
I mean, he was, you know what I'm saying?
He was basically a Republican.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, which you point out a lot, too, when Fam
Yeah.
pointed out last week. What's the sense of electing Democrats when they appoint conservative judges?
Yeah, we've had a
anyways?
conservative SCOTUS for a really long time. I don't know. This is fear-mongering, and we're going to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah. Well, after this happened, and thank you to all who are watching, guys, like, share, subscribe, share us up. And on the Rokfin, I see we're going, but I don't have any viewers on there yet. It's not clicking through for me. Guys, going over. So, fam, this happened. It happened out of the blue. We were sitting here doing the show. We announced it. Somebody said it on our chat. We announced it. So with all this comes the neoliberal meltdown, right?
Right. So, so the neoliberals started having several tantrums, and let's start by looking at this one right here.
Yeah, I saw this one.
I
saw this one.
So my whole point is, look, we have fires, mass unemployment, millions uninsured, a pandemic, earthquakes, hurricanes, jailing of journalists and protesters, racist, corrupt police, Assange, economic collapse, and evictions. And the Democrats are telling you to stop rioting, stop the tantrums, etc. Vote Biden. But RGB dies, and this is the reaction we get from the
TikTok.
liberals.
Holy fucking shit, you guys! I'm driving in a car, but I just got a notification that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died! Fuck! Could this year get any fucking worse? Ruth, you just had to make it to 2021! Ah! Holy fucking...
Okay, so that's just like a description of how neoliberals are right now, because they did throw a really big tantrum. This lady, Laura Bassett, who she deleted this tweet, and she said, if McConnell jams someone through, which he will, there will be riots. So these are the liberals that have literally said no riots, protest peacefully, make sure blah, blah, blah. Then they turn around and are saying that they're going to have riots. I don't know if you guys have seen a liberal riot, but I've never seen a liberal riot. And Niko really hit it on the head here when he said, instead of actually fighting for women to get equal pay, the Dems will now erect a statue of RBG. And
that is so on point there.
they
Like
literally
that for me, please.
said they're going to, but like soon after he posted that.
I mean, really, of course they are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm surprised we don't have our metro station named Ruth Bader Ginsburg metro station yet in California here. So.
And I just this other tweet, because this woman posted, Alexis Goldstein, we have thousands here at the Supreme Court. Thousands showed up at the Supreme Court. And I'm just wondering, where are the thousands fighting for healthcare, for Green New Deal, whatever you want to call it,
cancellation.
everything, our interventionist wars, police brutality, etc. Like all of this, it's just like what about the looting from the CARES Act? Where are you guys? Where have you guys been the last 7 months? I mean, what did you think it just got bad now just because Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, when she knew she had like every type of cancer in the world? We knew this was going to happen. I took sudden off the title because it wasn't sudden. People were waiting for her to die. This wasn't anything new. And I'm really irritated with people suddenly acting like this is like, oh my God, what do we do now? Mountain Socialist said, with RGB gone, we will see the Senate act faster on confirming a new justice than we have ever seen them act on anything. So here we go. Like, we knew they were going to act fast just because they managed to put it off when it came to Obama nominating Garland. it was also because the Democrats didn't fight hard enough. The Democrats didn't do enough. And
they do
now,
what they always do, roll over. And
and yes, are the Republicans hypocrites? Absolutely. Then call them out on their hypocrisy, but don't pretend that you guys didn't try hard enough and you admitted that you didn't try hard enough. I mean, the Democrats later on went on and said, we should have tried harder to pass through a SCOTUS. Not to mention the fact that RBG should have retired a long time ago when Obama was still president, and she refused. So
a lot of people talk about the fact that when Obama was the president, why didn't she retire then? But she stayed in, she went through, and but I don't even give a shit anyways, because it's really not going to be that big of a difference. I mean, I think I don't want to be insensitive. A lot of people say, well, if it's a somewhat centrist, conservative, democratic establishment picked judge, at least Roe versus Wade would be protected. That's what they say.
I just don't think if they wanted to overturn Roe v. Wade, it would have happened a long time ago. I think it's a scare tactic used on people to like get them to fall in line on that. Like I just don't even think it's for Roe v. Wade to be overturned. They would have to like. It's already a precedent. They would have to really like go against the will of the people, the will of like so many people, the vast majority of people, and like the pro-life crew is a very small. It's not that big in America. It's not as big. People want restrictions, but people don't want Roe v. Wade is already a restricted is restricting third trimester abortions already. A lot of people don't even know that.
Yeah.
So
I saw something that, and I think it was a Democratic outlet. I was just kind of going through a bunch of stuff, doing my notes, and I saw something that it says, "Who is Trump going to float for the nomination?" Of course, they put up Tom Cotton because they want to scare the Democrats.
That
like,
would
oh my
suck.
God, Tom Cotton.
Tom Cotton is horrible.
Yeah,
that would.
Cruz
really suck.
They put up there, and they're like, Cruz, he's gonna nominate one or two sitting senators. I don't think he's gonna nominate a sitting senator, to be honest with you, but. Anyways, what's this one? Turboline # abolish ICE.
Okay, so this person was just putting how these neoliberals acted, because we did have an earthquake here, and then they all started saying that
getting pissed off. You said,
"Look, was that an earthquake or RBG telling us to keep donating and fighting? Donating to who?
I know,
the fucking Democratic Party who has so much money. Are you kidding me?
I know.
Like, and then on the night of the RBG's passing, of course, it ends with an earthquake. The earthquake with RBG saying, "Fucking do something, you guys." #earthquake. I think that was RBG making contact from the other side. They're making all of this about, oh my God, this is the end of the world. We have to save this. It's the most important thing in the world. And then you have people like AOC.
Leadership. We need leadership from AOC.
And I mean, we've been talking about AOC for well over a year. We've been criticizing her, and a lot of people were like, well, you just hate her, you're just grifters and blah, 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 blah. Now, a lot of people are starting to see the light as she has continued to push that establishment narrative of voting the lesser of evils. Oh, but she's a Democrat. She has to. No, she doesn't. Yeah. We put her there to oppose the establishment. We didn't put her there to fall in line. Yeah. And what she's done is exactly fall in line. And here is... she said that voting for Biden is going to let our democracy live another day.
That's what Marianne said the same thing,
Let's hear a little bit of what she said.
Voting for Joe Biden is not about whether you agree with him. It's a vote to let our democracy live another day. That's what this is about. We need to act in solidarity and protection for the most vulnerable people in our society who have already experienced the violent repercussions of this administration. And the reason we need to do that is because, yes, the political middle is willing to sacrifice immigrants. The political middle too often is willing to play both sides when someone dies to police violence. Absolutely. That's why we need to show up. We need to show up because if we don't show up, those people don't get protected. Because no one politician is the answer. No one president is the answer. You are the answer.
Oh, shit. I mean, fam, this is at a disgusting level right now. This is disgusting. You got to show up for Joe Biden for this. Isn't this the same shit they sold us in 2016? You got to vote against the evilness. You got to vote against the... Can you help me out and explain to me which policies were so different of Donald Trump that affected poor people more than Joe Biden's? I mean, I'm sure we can find a few, but it seems to me that every single time I look back at Joe Biden's policies or his rhetoric or whatever he talked about, they're almost worse than Donald Trump's. Like you said, he's the architect of this shit. How do you clarify, or excuse me, how do you justify that Joe Biden is the lesser of two evils through a policy position thing? Help me out so I know better. Is there something I'm missing?
No, is there something I'm missing? Joe Biden's record speaks for itself. I mean, you can't say that you're looking out for the most vulnerable in our community. What has Joe Biden done for the most vulnerable other than enact one of the worst pieces of legislation in the crime bill, putting people of color, especially black people, in jail, supporting the war in Iraq, supporting the legislation that removed student loans from Chapter 7, supporting legislation through fracking and oil, saying that he's not going to ban fracking, saying that he's not going to give you Medicare for all, further saying he's going to veto Medicare for all. He hasn't done anything to gain the progressive vote. So who are you really thinking about when you vote for Joe Biden? You're thinking about the Democratic establishment and their donors versus the Republican establishment and their donors. That's really what this is about. If you for 1 second think you can hold somebody's feet to the fire when you have no fucking power in the electorate, you're a moron, because why would they listen to you? Why would Joe Biden listen to you when you've already told them, I'm going to vote for you no matter what? You have all the power here. You're a fucking moron. And we put her in office to literally fight these same system, not to join them. Oh, but AOC has to because she's a Democrat. Bear. You don't understand how politics works, Fiorella. AOC has to because she's a Democrat. This is how politics is. You just have to do it. Do you not realize that the reason we're fucked right now is because you have said it's okay for corruption to exist just because this is how politics works? Politics was never supposed to be about politicians and concessions and corporate money. It was supposed to be about people saying something and the politicians doing it because it's supposed to be the will of the people. But that's not what's happened, and it hasn't happened for a long time. Here, Jimmy Dore said, quote, vote to protect the most vulnerable people in society. Joe Biden kicked 5.1 million of the most vulnerable Americans out of their homes during the last economic crash. Prisons are full of the most vulnerable people because of Joe Biden. People are bankrupt because of Joe. Fuck off.
I mean, this dude right here, the only thing he missed over there too is this dude, Joe Biden, was against federally mandated busing to segregate schools. So a person of color who was in a poor area would then get a chance to go to a better school where he can use his gift, whatever the case may be. And Joe Biden was against that, and furthermore said he didn't want his kids growing up in a racial jungle. That's what this is the guy you're telling us to go vote for. This is the guy, the FOH, but Trump. Mehdi Hassan, your boy.
So Mehdi Hassan
We've also heard, and I'm going to now direct this at Vice President Biden.
We got to play this. This is,
I do not believe you are a racist. And I agree with you when you commit yourself to the importance of finding common ground. But I also believe, and it's personal, and I was actually it was hurtful to hear you talk about the reputations of two United States senators who built their reputations and career on the segregation of race in this country. And it was not only that, but you also worked with them to oppose busing. And, there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me.
And then that little girl went on to make T-shirts and posters and mugs about that little girl. And then she joined that fucking campaign of Joe Biden, who literally she was accusing there of being for the segregation. And you know what? And that is that's it. That's the hypocrisy of the Democratic Party, of our nation, of everything. They're a bunch of hypocrites because what they say has no value. So many people fall for what they say. Oh, Kamala did good because she nailed Joe Biden. I remember many progressives. Oh my God, Kamala at least she showed Joe. Look at her.
I'm a top tier candidate here. Okay.
She showed Joe. Look how she showed Joe. And then she goes and joins his campaign after people decided she was so awful that she had to drop out because she couldn't win her own state.
The Harris administration. And real quick, fam, before we go on to the next thing, I just want to show, I scrolled through AOC's little video here, and she's fear mongering here. This is what the right does. This is what the left does. This is what they do in politics. So just take a look at this. Oh,
survival.
So she said,
whether we like it or not, November's about survival. November's about survival. And we need to work to honor all of those who came before us to fight for our future and to fight for our democracy.
Yeah, so
vote for the guy who literally set us back. Literally vote for the guy who set us back years.
Yes. What policy? Just tell me what policy it is that Joe is better than Trump on. So in the chat, please help me out, Johnny. Tell me what policy it is that it is.
Climate change, because he acknowledges it but doesn't do anything about it. So there we go.
But he took fracking money. He said, "Let's see how things play out."
But he believes in it.
They both got billionaires. They're both terrible. They're both fucking terrible.
I'm trying to think of an area that you can say, like, the only thing is the EPA. When I said who they appoint,
that's pretty much it.
But you even pointed out who and Niko said who he appointed for the EPA for Obama wasn't the big, let's go. This is the EPA guy we want. No. That's not even an area where you can even say that it's even better.
And just Mehdi Hassan, I want to put because Mehdi Hassan, he's turned into a full shill neoliberal. And he said, putting aside Trump's usual lies and inaccuracies, here's the president breathing a police attack on a journalist. A journalist is beautiful to a cheering crowd as law and order. How is this not fascistic? How is anyone okay with this? I love how Mehdi talks about journalism. Mehdi has refused to talk about Julian Assange.
Silent.
So, of course, when Trump attacks a journalist that's on the other side of the political aisle, sure. But when it comes to Julian Assange, Mehdi can't respond to anybody. People have asked him, hey, can you cover Julian Assange? No, he won't fucking cover Julian Assange because he doesn't give a shit about Julian Assange because he's not a journalist now. He's a propagandist. He's being used as a tool of propaganda to instill fear-mongering in people so they can vote for the lesser of evils. And it doesn't matter. If you vote for Trump or Joe Biden, you are perpetuating this oligarchy, period. You can do that, but don't pretend that you're doing anything different. Trump isn't an outsider, non-interventionist, and Biden isn't going to save the day and somehow stop racism because he is a perpetrator of that system that Trump is exploiting.
Absolutely.
They're both two fucking fascists, and you shouldn't vote for either of them. But if you're going to vote for either of them, don't fucking vote shame people, and don't pretend that they're not two piles of shit that you're voting for, and don't pretend that you're not perpetuating the system that is completely crushing everybody in this country.
We just went through this in 2016. Why are we going through this again? It's the same tactic.
The
only thing different is that we don't have WikiLeaks to confirm that we cheated, but we know they did. Why? Because they said it in a federal court. We can go in the back room, fill a cigar, smoke, vote for whoever we want. We don't have to give you who you want. We can pick whoever we want.
And they did.
And now we don't have zero transparency because people like yourselves won't say shit about Assange. People like Bernie won't say anything about Assange. People like AOC won't say anything about Assange.
The entire squad hasn't said squat.
I just want a picture, Johnny, of Jim Boehner crying. I just want that because I want to remind progressives. For progressives who go, oh, well, what are you going to do? She's got to do this, Fiorella. You don't understand politics. She's got to say what's going on with the Democratic Party. And new candidates, I'm sick and tired of them playing by the Democratic Party way. We're putting you in there. We're voting for you. We're supporting you to smash the establishment, not to join it. Just like the Freedom Caucus did. They threw Cantor out. They made Boehner quit and cry. They said no. I wanted to see Nancy Pelosi cry, and you took that away from me, squad, and I'll never forgive you for it.
The people that say that, Pasta, that say, oh, but she has to do it for politics, they're just standing AOC, and they probably don't know anything about real policy. And I just want to show really quick that I did an advanced search on Mehdi Hassan, and the last time he mentioned Assange, and that was May 2019. So it's been over a year since he's mentioned anything about Assange, and that was when he got arrested, Assange, or, he got the trial thing.
Yeah, and again, the TYT and those like Mehdi mentioned Assange too in collusion with the Russiagate bullshit CIA story that they were pushing. So it's not even it's coverage of Assange, but it's not even real coverage of really what's happening. They're doing it, well, he had ties to Russia and WikiLeaks, and WikiLeaks isn't the most trusting source, even though WikiLeaks has 100% accuracy rate, unlike TYT.
Yeah,
so let's be real.
I like the way she said she'll look into it. Like, Anna, we'll look into that, I promise you. Hey, Anna, I heard the sun's really, really hot. We'll look into it. I promise you. Go ahead, Fee.
So this really aged poorly because if we recall back in 2014, people were making a big deal. A lot of these third wave feminists who I don't want to say despise, but I severely dislike because they ruined the word feminism.
Yes, they have.
Because they're all about symbolic platitudes and not about actual change. You want women to be equal? Fucking pay them a living wage. Give them health care. No, let's focus on symbolic purities. Okay, don't tell Ruth Bader Ginsburg to retire. The Supreme Court justice will leave the bench when she's ready, regardless of what others think. So because of some ego of the third wave feminist and Ruth Bader Ginsburg's own ego, she decided she was going to stay and work as long as she could. Okay, instead of letting Obama appoint somebody way before before Trump came
Why'd
in.
she do that?
Why is it insensitive to point this out? No, it's not fucking insensitive to point this out. We're just telling you the fact that if this shouldn't happen. First of all, we shouldn't all be like depending our lives on what 9 people and how they interpret the Constitution. That should change. I'm sorry, 9 people shouldn't decide the fate of millions and millions of Americans, and 9 people who are appointed by presidents who are not at all selected by the people. And 9 people these judges, if we're going to go in a gradual way, should have term limits. Yeah. And they should be appointed by the people. They should be elected by the people, not by presidents. Because then you have this manipulation. Oh, Democrats, Republicans. Don't you see that this is all a game as to, who's going to score some points here and there? Then the substance of the things we really want to discuss gets lost in the process. Because all we're talking about is, oh my God, we got to get them in. Oh, the Republicans did this. Now we're going to do this. And it's like, it's a stupid thing. We're not actually changing anything or discussing any policy whatsoever.
Okay. This is the time to realize letting 9 people who interpret the Constitution definitely decide on our rights is not democracy. Differently. Is not democracy. LMAO, laughing my ass off. You should not have to be worried for your life because a judge passed. Please realize SCOTUS is just as oppressive.
100% it is.
And a lot of people hide behind these decisions. They don't talk about abortion because there's Roe v. Wade. They don't talk about money in politics because it's Citizens United. They just say, well, what are we going to do? It's Citizens United. You know what I'm saying? So politicians can actually hide behind these court decisions that are made. Super Chat contribution, thank you very much. Is always appreciated on the couch. North American Ape, thank you for that Super Chat contribution. We have to show up, ? When is AOC going to call out the Democratic Party and tell them that they have to show up for voters? What is this, Kabuki theater?
That's exactly what it is.
Wow.
It's exactly what it is. America's great at theatrics.
Guys, my last question is to you out there, everybody out there, plain and simple. What are your thoughts? Will Trump nominate someone before the election? I think he definitely will. And will he be able to get that nomination passed through the Democrats, by the Democrats before the election? Yes or no, fam?
I mean,
45 days.
I think they're going to put their little theatrical opposition to it, but it's going to be that.
You think they're going to stop it?
On media, they're going to look like they're doing something, but then let's look at the vote.
Oh, yeah.
Let's look at the vote. And then we'll see.
It's just going to be another distraction.
We'll see what Dems
This is a distraction, guys. Don't you see that this is a distraction? We have real people being arrested for protesting. We have Julian Assange in prison. Like our civil liberties, our freedom of speech is in peril. We have corrupt police. We have a corrupt state in the military-industrial complex and the intelligence agencies. They make conspiracy theories up. They make them up regarding Russiagate. And now we have 2 idiots who are running for the throne because eventually this is the same shit we fought for. And in the Declaration of Independence, it says that if a government is not fulfilling the needs of the people, that the people have the power to overthrow the government. Which is why William Barr is now putting out this call to the federal prosecutors that he wants to accuse people of sedition. So this is all happening at the same time. This is a coincidence. Things just didn't happen because of Donald Trump. Trump might be a catalyst to kind of accelerate a lot of the things that are happening because a lot of people just oppose him. So it's a lot easier. But think about it if Joe Biden gets in there. People are just going to be dying to go back to brunch. They're going to be like, we got the orange monster out of the office.
Big sleep part 2.
And then you think people are still going to fight? You think they're going to hold the Democrats accountable? Even if the Democrats look bad, the establishment is going to do all their PR and all their frou-frou bullshit to try to say, oh no, but this is much better than what Trump was offering, and everything's going to go back to sleep. And who's going to be in control? It's not going to be Joe Biden. It's going to be the military and the intelligence community, because there is a lot happening foreign policy wise that we're going to go and discuss right now.
There's a ton of shit going on. We have to discuss it. Thank you so much, guys. And a lot of people on the chat said yes, yes, yes. I think he's going to get it through within the 45 days. We're going to have a justice before the election. Like right around election day. Go vote. We have a new election. We have a new judge.
And not to mention, fam, sorry, I just want to say this is the only thing pretty much Democrats had on people, on convincing leftists to vote for Joe Biden.
They're gonna use
Think
this
of the
again.
Supreme Court. But guess what, you guys? He's gonna nominate somebody, and even if he doesn't, he's gonna win, and he's nominate somebody.
Yeah.
This is a non-issue. Stop putting all your eggs into who's going to be a Supreme Court justice. There's so much more going on that is happening, and that we can do to really fix this issue.
It's gonna be funny because could you imagine Joe Biden, his nomination, he gets elected? Hi, I'm Joe Biden. I'd like to nominate my mom to be the Supreme Court Justice because she was great. Always gave me milk and cookies. Emble Medfate. Or is it Emble Medfate? Emblem Fate. Okay. In Nigeria, judges retire at 70. We should do that too. I think 75.
I think term limits, but
term limits are cool. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's get Johnny. You got anything else? I think, by the way, he's going to push him through. That's my final answer. I think we'll see a Supreme Court justice in the seat.
Yeah, and he said he's going to nominate a woman.
You know how the Democrats are going to attack him. Like, who was the last guy? Kavanaugh? I understand the way you want to go at Kavanaugh, but I made it all about that situation rather than going after his decisions that he made on the court. You got to do both. Should have been
all of it.
You got to do both. You can't leave one without the other. There's so many horrible decisions that you can go Kavanaugh. What about this decision here? Explain it. They didn't do any of that stuff. They relitigated a situation that happened years and years and years ago and kind of leaned on that. But the reason why they can't go after and attack them under decisions because, once again, the Democrats are complacent when it comes to a lot of those decisions too as well. So therefore, they can't even attack the person, the Supreme Court nominee, on the horrible decisions they made. That's the thing that's awful.